Hog Rider. Let's start with the most disrespected win condition in Clash Royale right now. Everyone and their mom is saying Hog Rider is dead, finished, cooked, sent to the retirement home. But check the stats. 48% win rate with 14% usage. That's literally one of the highest usage rates in the entire game right now. If Hog is so dead, why is everyone still running him? Because he's not dead, y'all just can't cycle properly. Hog Rider costs 4 elixir. He's a fast building targeting melee troop with high HP and high damage. He jumps over the river so your opponent can't pull him with placement tricks or stop him with cheap distractions. He's been a staple win condition since 2016 and he's still here dominating in 2026. That's 8 years of relevance. Name another card with that kind of longevity. I'll wait. Yeah. Evo buildings like Tesla and Cannon counter him hard. Everyone loves to point that out like it's breaking news, but here's what the bots don't understand. Good players cycle faster than opponents can rotate their defenses. You send Hog, they drop building, you're already cycling cheap cards, and sending another Hog before they can get that building back in hand. You force them to commit 3 to 4 elixir on defense every single push, then you punish the gaps in their rotation when they're out of cycle. That's how you actually play Hog in 2026. The Hog is dead narrative, that's coming from players who don't know how to cycle properly or apply constant pressure. They send Hog once, it gets countered, and they give up like NPCs. Meanwhile, skilled players are sending Hog after Hog after Hog, forcing responses, building elixir advantages, chipping towers 200 HP at a time until the tower falls. In skilled hands, Hog gets consistent damage every single push. That's not luck, that's not matchup, that's just knowing how to play the game. 4 elixir for a reliable win condition that jumps the river and forces instant responses is solid value at every trophy range. Mid-ladder, top ladder, competitive, doesn't matter. Hog works everywhere because he's simple, consistent, and forces your opponent to respect you. He's not flashy, he's not complicated, he just works. And sometimes that's all you need. This card has infinite Riz, infinite aura, infinite wins. The most Sigma win condition in the game. If you think Hog is dead, that's a skill issue, not a card issue. No cap. Dart Goblin. This little guy with the blowgun is absolutely cracked, and if you're not running him, you're trolling. Dart Goblin costs 3 elixir, and he's a single target air targeting long range ground troop with low HP and low damage but very fast movement and insane attack speed. Basically, a goblin with a blowgun and voodoo mask. 3 elixir for a very fast unit with long range and rapid fire attack speed is peak efficiency. His attack speed is so fast, he shreds tanks, deletes air units, and chips towers before your opponent can react. Drop him at the bridge and he gets 2 top 4 shots on the tower before dying. That's guaranteed chip for only 3 elixir. The range is what makes him busted. He outranges most troops in the game, like 7 tiles when positioned right. You place him at your side of the river and he snipes enemies crossing the bridge without them targeting him. He counters Wizard, Executioner, Bowler, Sparky. All those expensive units just can't reach him. He's griefing them from across the map, and the evolution is goated. Evo Dart Goblin adds poison effect with a 4-second trail that stacks damage in a large area. Every dart leaves poison on the ground. He's not just shooting darts, he's spreading area denial. Enemies walk through poison trails and take constant stacking damage. 3 elixir for single target damage plus poison trails is cracked. He cycles fast, he's cheap enough to spam, he gets guaranteed value, and he punishes slow decks. Pair him with Knight or Ice Golem tanking and he's deleting towers. Use him on defense and he's sniping from safe range. High value, low cost card. If you're running Cycle without Dart Goblin, you're missing free wins. Absolute Sigma, Goblin Energy. Tesla. Tesla hides underground and ambushes pushes, and there's literally nothing your opponent can do about it. This card is straight up different, built different. Tesla costs 4 elixir, and it's a single target air targeting medium range building with high HP and high damage. Retracts underground where it's immune to everything except earthquake and freeze. Rapid DPS that shreds tanks in air. This is peak defensive utility. Stats show 6% usage with 48% win rate. That's solid for pure defense. The Evo variant adds a pulse on surface and deploy that deals low damage with 0.5 second stun in a 6-tile radius. That's insane utility. The hiding mechanic is what makes it legitimately broken. Opponents have to commit troops just to pull it up from underground. By the time they bait it out, you're already cycling your next defense and they've wasted elixir. It hard counters air pushes like Balloon and Lava Hound, kills tanks efficiently while staying protected underground. This card is goated, no cap. The underground phase wastes opponent elixir by forcing troop commitments. You defend super efficiently while building advantage every exchange. 4 elixir for a building that forces 6 to 7 elixir commitments just to kill is insane value. When played with good timing, Tesla is legitimately one of the best defensive buildings in the current meta. Maximum Aura card, Hunter. This card is the ultimate counter to everything in the Hypercycle meta, and if you're not running him, you're getting absolutely destroyed by swarms and tanks. Hunter costs 4 elixir, and he's a single target air targeting medium range ground troop with moderate HP and very high damage. But here's what makes him cracked. He shoots 10 shotgun pellets in a wide spread. The closer enemies are, the more pellets connect. And when all 10 hit, bro has slightly more damage than a PE EKK side array. That's absolutely insane for 4 elixir. Stats are solid, and he's becoming more popular because he hard counters the entire Hypercycle meta. 4 elixir for a troop that deletes swarms from range and shreds tanks up close is peak versatility. Against cycle decks running skeletons, goblins, bats, and all those cheap swarm cards, Hunter placed at a distance deletes them all with one shot because each pellet hits a different unit. They're cycling cheap cards trying to overwhelm you, and you're just casually one-shotting their entire defense with Hunter. They're getting absolutely griefed. The evolution makes him even more broken. Evo Hunter throws a net at the closest troop that makes them unable to move or attack for 3 seconds, and it grounds flying units too. The net has a 5-second recharge, so now Hunter isn't just shredding everything, he's also stunning and grounding enemies. You hit a balloon with the net and it drops out of the sky, grounded, can't attack, and Hunter deletes it. You net a charging Prince or Ram Rider and they're frozen in place while Hunter blasts them. 4 elixir for massive damage output plus crowd control is absolutely goated. He pairs insanely well with Fisherman too. Fisherman hooks enemies close to Hunter, and Hunter blasts them point blank for maximum damage. This combo deletes almost any single unit on defense. In the current meta where everyone's running fast cycle decks with swarms and cheap units, Hunter is essential for shutting them down. 4 elixir for a unit that counters both swarms and tanks depending on placement is incredible value. Place him far back and he's splash damage against swarms. Place him up close and he's a tank killer. The versatility is what makes him absolutely cracked in 2026. If you're running controller cycle and you need a reliable defensive card that does everything, Hunter is the move. This card is him with a shotgun. Absolute demon behavior against Hypercycle decks. No cap, he's shredding the entire meta. Archer Queen. This champion is literally one of the most broken defensive cards in the game. Archer Queen costs 5 elixir plus 1 for her ability, 6 total. She's a single target, air targeting medium range ground troop with moderate HP and moderate damage, but here's what makes her cracked. Her cloaking capability makes her invisible and increases her attack speed by 80% for 3.5 seconds. That's game breaking. 5 elixir for a ranged champion that deletes single units and transitions to offense is peak value. Hog Rider. Rushing your tower. She stops it with minimal damage. They send tanks like Giant or Golem. She snipes them from range, and with ability active, she shreds through them. The 80% attack speed boost means she's deleting threats in seconds. The ability fires exactly 7 shots during the 3.5 second duration, enough to delete anything with Sparky or Elixir Golem HP. You activate Cloaking Cape, and she goes invisible while shooting arrows at light speed. Your opponent drops a threatening unit, she's shredding it while being untargetable. They can't spell her, can't target her with troops, she's just invisible, deleting their push. That's 200 IQ gameplay, and the counterattack potential is insane. After she defends, drop a Knight or Valkyrie in front to tank, activate her ability, and she's invisible, shredding their tower from behind your tank. They literally can't target her. 6 elixir total for defense that transitions to offense with invisibility is absolutely cracked. The only counters are heavy spells like lightning or rocket, but those are negative elixir trades. She gets wrecked by big swarms like skeleton army or barbarians if ability isn't active, but that's what your cheap spells are for. The key is timing. Use her defensively. Then, activate ability to finish threats and counterattack. She's the ultimate flex card, defends everything, goes invisible, transitions to offense. Absolute queen behavior, literally in the name. Skeleton Barrel. This card is absolutely cracked for only 3 elixir, and if you're not abusing it, you're missing free tower damage. Skeleton Barrel costs 3 elixir, and it's a building targeting air troop with moderate HP that's fast. When it gets destroyed or reaches a building, the barrel drops dealing area damage with a knockback and spawns 7 skeletons. That's literally a spell plus a swarm in one card for only 3 elixir. The value is what makes this card broken. 3 elixir for an air unit that forces a response, and even when they answer it, you still get 7 skeletons spawning. You're getting guaranteed value no matter what they do. That's peak efficiency. And the evolution? Bro, it's even more busted. Evo Skeleton Barrel has 25% more health and drops 2 barrels. Each barrel spawns 7 skeletons and deals increased death damage. So, you're getting 14 skeletons total from one card. They have to answer it twice or those skeletons are shredding their tower. 3 elixir for dual barrel drops with 14 skeletons is absolutely goated. It fits perfectly in bait and cycle decks. You use it to bait spells, then punish with goblin barrel or other threats. Or you just send it for chip damage. Even if they defend perfectly, some skeletons usually connect for 200 to 300 damage. 3 elixir for guaranteed chip and spell bait is exactly what fast decks need. If you're running cycle or bait and sleeping on skeleton barrel, you're missing out on free value. This card is him in disguise. Absolute menace behavior for only 3 elixir. Rascals. This card is one of the most slept on in the game. Rascals cost 5 elixir, and you get 3 units, 1 melee boy with high HP and moderate damage, plus 2 range girls with low HP and moderate damage. Hybrid ground air pressure that forces your opponent to split their defense. Stats show 53% win rate with 3% usage. 5 elixir for 3 separate units that attack different targets is cracked value when used right. The boy tanks while the girls snipe from behind. It's a mini push in one card. Most single target cards can't handle all 3 efficiently. On defense, they handle everything. On offense, drop them at the bridge, and your opponent has to deal with 3 units immediately. The boy tanks tower shots while both girls deal ranged DPS. Most players panic and either overspend or underspend. Either way, you get value. And if they use their big spell on Rascals, that's 1 less spell for your actual win condition. The key is smart placement. Don't drop them into obvious splash counters. Use them when your opponent is low on elixir or just use their splash card. 5 elixir for 3 units that defend and pressure lanes is solid. They sit in that perfect middle ground, cheap enough to cycle semi-fast, expensive enough to threaten. Not flashy, but gets the job done. Royal Hogs. This is one of the most underrated win conditions in the game. Royal Hogs cost 5 elixir for 4 building targeting troops that jump the river, 4 single target building targeting melee ground troops with moderate HP and very low damage each, but they're very fast in a horizontal formation. All 4 jump the river so they can't be pulled or kited. That's 4 separate threats at once. 5 elixir for 4 separate units that all target buildings means your opponent needs splash damage or multiple units to stop them all. And the evolution is cracked. Evo Royal Hogs spawn flying and deal fall damage when attacking. Now they're air units that ground splash like Valkyrie or Bowler can't hit. They need air splash or air targeting troops, and most decks don't run enough. Flying Royal Hogs are basically unstoppable without the right counters. They work perfectly in dual lane pressure. Send 2 hogs one lane to the other, and your opponent scrambles defending both sides. 5 elixir for split lane pressure that jumps the river is exactly what aggressive decks need. 4 hogs, infinite pressure, no cap. Suspicious Bush. This is one of the most brain-dead overpowered cards, and if you're not abusing it, you're missing free tower damage. Suspicious Bush costs 2 elixir. It's a building targeting ground troop with very low HP that spawns invisible at medium speed. When destroyed or reaching a building, it spawns 2 bush goblins with low HP and moderate damage. A 2 elixir card your opponent can't even target. 2 elixir for an invisible troop that spawns 2 attacking units is peak efficiency. The bush is invisible like Royal Ghost. Your opponent can't target it with troops. They have to spell it or use a building, and if they mess up timing, those bush goblins spawn right next to their tower, dealing massive chip. You're griefing them with a 2 elixir card they can't hit normally. The mind games make this card goated. Your opponent sees the bush moving invisible and they panic. They have to spell immediately, or it spawns bush goblins at their tower. Here's the genius. Suspicious Bush is the ultimate spell bait. You send bush, they panic and spell it, then you cycle Goblin Barrel or Skeleton Barrel and they have no spell. You're baiting their log or zap with a 2 elixir card. That's 200 IQ gameplay. 2 elixir means you're cycling super fast while constantly applying pressure. Pair it with Miner and it's lethal. Miner tanks for bush goblins and they shred the tower. The counterplay is limited. They can spell it for neutral trade at best, and if they don't have spell and cycle, bush goblins connect for serious damage. 2 elixir for an invisible threat that spawns attackers is peak cycle card energy. Pair it with Goblin Barrel, Skeleton Barrel, Miner, and your Griefing Towers all game. If you're running bait or cycle without Suspicious Bush, you're trolling. Literally hiding in a bush and more threatening than half the legendaries. Absolute menace behavior, Mortar. 4 elixir for an area damage ground targeting building with high HP and very long range. Has a blind spot, but it doesn't matter. Mortar costs 4 elixir and it's a siege building that chips towers while defending your side. This is the ultimate dual purpose card. Base Mortar struggles at 48 to 50% win rates, but the Evo variant crushes at 53% with 4% usage. The evolution reduces attack time interval by 20% and spawns a goblin with each shot. That's constant pressure. Good players don't just drop it offensively, they cycle it defensively to kill swarms and chip pushes while building elixir advantage, then pressure offensively when ahead. Use it as both defensive anchor and offensive threat simultaneously. 4 elixir for a building that defends and attacks is incredible value. It kills swarms on defense, it chips towers on offense, it forces responses. In cycle decks where every elixir matters, Mortar is a legitimate win condition that also defends. You cycle cheap cards, defend efficiently with Mortar, chip them down over time. This is peak Siege gameplay. Mortar cycle decks have been meta forever because the card just works. Absolutely goated when played right. We're starting with the must plays because you need to know what's actually cracked before we roast the garbage. Let's get into it. Elixir Collector. This card promises free elixir, but actually just loses you the game. So Elixir Collector is this 6 elixir building that's supposed to print elixir and fund these massive unstoppable pushes. The idea is simple. It generates 1 elixir every 12 seconds plus 1 elixir when it dies. That's free elixir if your opponent just ignores it. But spoiler alert, they're never gonna ignore it. This ain't it, Chief. Right now, it's sitting at 52% win rate with 5% usage, and it only works in super slow beatdown decks where games drag on forever. The problem is, you're investing 6 elixir into a building with high HP that does literally nothing immediately. While you're placing this thing down, trying to stack paper, your opponent is rushing the opposite lane, and you're just sitting there, broke with 0 defense. And if they're running Lightning or Rocket, they just destroy it for positive trades. You're basically giving them a free push window while you're trying to get rich. The 2026 meta is all about speed, fast cycles, quick pushes, immediate aggression. Spending 6 elixir on maybe I'll be rich later is straight up not bussin'. By the time you get your elixir back, you've already taken 1,000 tower damage. Fast decks will absolutely demolish you before the payoff happens. You're cooked before you're in an elixir advantage. This is a certified L card. And if you thought investing elixir was bad, this next card is somehow even more mid. Flying Machine. This thing flies around shooting and then becomes completely irrelevant. Flying Machine costs 4 elixir, and it's a single target, long-range air troop with moderate HP that shoots fast. Sounds decent for air support, right? Wrong. This card is straight up getting ratioed by every spell in the game. It's giving unemployed energy. Current stats show 51% win rate with only 3% usage, and there's a reason nobody runs this. It dies instantly to every medium spell. Fireball, Poison, Lightning, all these spells destroyer. You spent 4 elixir, they spend 4 elixir on a spell, but they're already winning because you got nothing and they're building a counter push. This card said yeet and then got yeeted into the Shadow Realm. 4 elixir for a troop that gets one shot by spells is actual brain rot behavior. There are way better 4 elixir air cards that actually survive and get value. Just run Baby Dragon, Minions, or even Mega Minion. Flying Machine is useless in the actual meta. 0 Aura. Speaking of cards that sound good but are actually trash, this evolution is a complete trap. Battle Ram Evolution. Your opponent stops the ram, and you just wasted 4 elixir on a failed delivery service. Evo Battle Ram costs 4 elixir, and it's a building targeting melee troop that charges after 3 tiles for double damage. When destroyed, it spawns 2 barbarians. The evolution makes it ram repeatedly when it connects for double damage each time, plus it deals moderate damage and 2 tile knockback while charging. Sounds fire, right? It's not. This card is getting absolutely no diff ed. Stats look decent, 53% win rate, 4% usage, but here's reality. It gets hard countered by everything. Buildings completely shut it down, cannon, Tesla, Goblin Cage, whatever they have just stops it dead. Swarms delete it before it reaches the tower, and even when it spawns those evolved barbarians, they get spelled or swarmed instantly. You're trading 4 elixir for 2-3 elixir counters every single time. You're getting absolutely violated, getting sent to the gulag. You spend 4 elixir hoping for guaranteed damage. Buildings deny it. Spells kill the barbarians, and you're left with nothing but regret. This card thought it was him, but it's really just mid. Complete scam card. But at least Battle Ram tries to pressure. This next card just sits there, being slow and useless. Bowler. This dude throws rocks that knock enemies back, but by the time he waddles over, you've already lost. Bowler costs 5 elixir, and he's a slow, high HP area damage ground troop with medium range. His attacks pierce and knock back ground troops. Sounds powerful, looks powerful. Is it powerful? No cap, it's trash. This man is cooked. The problem is, he's way too slow and expensive for 2026's fast meta. 5 elixir for a ground-only troop that moves at snail speed? That's actual smooth brain energy. He gets kited by cheap units like Skeletons and Ice Spirit while your opponent builds their real push. Yeah, the ground meta is strong right now, but that doesn't help Bowler because every ground deck is running fast cycle cards that just kite him around. While you're spending 5 elixir on this slow ground unit, they're cycling cheap counters and building elixir advantage. Spending 5 elixir on a slow ground troop in a fast cycle meta is throwing on purpose. Your opponent cycles cheap cards, kites him across the entire arena, and counter pushes while you're down 5 elixir. Even against other ground decks, he's too slow to defend fast pushes like Hog Rider or Ram Rider. By the time Bowler waddles across the arena to do something useful, your tower's already taking massive damage. 0 aura, 0 wins. He's getting lapped by 1 elixir Skeletons, Barbarian Barrel. Everyone uses this card, but Supercell nerfed it into the ground last month and nobody noticed. This card got absolutely cooked and sent to the Shadow Realm. Barbarian Barrel costs 2 elixir, deals moderate area damage in a short rectangular area on your own side, and spawns 1 Barbarian. Used to be one of the best spells in the game. Keyword, used to be. Now it's chalked, finished, done for. Current stats show 52% win rate with 20% usage, highest of any spell. But everyone's running it on autopilot from when it was actually good. The December 2025 nerf destroyed this card like Thanos with the snap. Damage nerfed from 240 to 230 HP, whatever. But the deploy time increased from 0.5 seconds to a full second. That delay completely ruins prediction plays. You predict Goblin Barrel, but your barrel arrives late and the goblins already got 3 hits. You're getting griefed by your own spell. The Barbarian it spawns dies to literally any medium spell or gets kited by 1 elixir Skeletons. This card is cooked, fried, grilled, and served on a platter. The deploy time nerf killed its whole purpose, prediction value against bait. You're spending 2 elixir on a spell that arrives late and spawns a Barbarian that immediately feeds spell value. Just use log. It's the same cost, faster, more reliable. Barbarian Barrel is straight up not it anymore. Fell off harder than any card in the game, went from GOAT to NPC status, sad, Royal Ghost evolution. This card goes invisible and should chain kills, but the December nerf made him about as threatening as a ghost in creative mode. Evo Royal Ghost costs 3 elixir. He's a fast area damage melee ground troop with high HP. He spawns invisible, becomes visible when attacking, then goes invisible again after 1.8 seconds of no combat. The evolution makes him spawn 2 soldiers with spawn damage when attacking invisible. Supposed to be this high skill assassin that goes crazy. Now he's just another L. Bro got nerfed to the backrooms. Soldier damage dropped from 130 to 102. Spawn damage from 261 to 204. HP. That's a massive nerf. The whole point of the soldiers is dealing burst damage when he attacks from stealth, but post-nerf they're doing tickle damage. The spawned soldiers have skeleton HP, so they die instantly to anything anyway. This card is so down bad it's insane. Literally bottom of the barrel. You're spending 3 elixir on an assassin whose gimmick got nerfed into irrelevance. The soldiers tickle enemies, they survive. The soldiers die because they have skeleton health, and Royal Ghost just dies. The invisibility doesn't matter if the evolution mechanic is useless. This card is giving NPC energy. Bro thought he was the main character, but he's really just filler content. And this next building is somehow even more disappointing. Cannon Cart. This card is supposed to be versatile, but it's just twice as mid. Cannon Cart costs 5 elixir, 5 whole elixir, and it's a single target ground targeting medium range troop with high HP. At 50% health, it becomes a stationary building with a 15-second lifetime. 2 faces of value, right? Wrong. This is certified cap. This card is bussin' at being trash. Stats show 53% win rate, but only 2% usage. Nobody runs this except hyper-specific Expo decks, and even they're dropping it. Both phases are way too expensive for what they do. 5 elixir for a mobile cannon that becomes a building. That's the same cost as a giant or prince, but way less threatening. Swarms delete it, spells destroy it, and when it becomes a building, your opponent just ignores it and pushes the other lane. You're getting absolutely finessed, bamboozled, hoodwinked, the mobile phase gets countered, the building phase gets ignored, and you're left with nothing while they counter push. For 5 elixir, you need a legitimate win condition or serious defensive power. Cannon Cart is neither. This card is giving Participation Trophy energy, Major L card. Bro is not on the team. But if you want a truly useless swarm, check this out. Zappies. These little guys are supposed to perma-stun everything, but they die before they can do literally anything useful. Zappies cost 4 elixir, and they're 3 single-target, medium-range ground troops with moderate HP in a triangle formation. Each attack stuns for 0.5 seconds, so they chain stun. Supposed to lock down entire pushes. Sounds OP, right? It's not. They're getting absolutely violated, destroyed, annihilated. Any medium spell deletes all 3 instantly. Fireball, poison, arrows, boom, 4 elixir, gone just like that, vanished into thin air. If your opponent has spell in hand, which they always do, you just wasted 4 elixir for nothing. Even splash units like Valkyrie, Bomber, or Wizard wipe them before they get meaningful stuns. These guys are getting sent to the Shadow Realm instantly. They're cooked before they even started cooking. The stun is great in theory, but they never survive long enough to use it. 4 elixir for a swarm that gets countered by 4 or less is negative trades all day. Just run Electro Wizard, same cost, spawns with zap effect, stuns on every attack, but he's 1 unit with moderate HP instead of 3 fragile ones. Knight. This card used to be the definition of good stats for the cost, but in 2026 it's actually just mid and overrated. Knight costs 3 elixir and he's a single target ground targeting melee ground troop with high HP and moderate damage. Sounds solid on paper. Tanky mini tank that survives everything and cycles your deck. But here's the reality. He's boring, predictable, and completely outclassed by better options. 3 elixir for a ground-only melee troop that just walks forward and hits things. That's basic NPC behavior. He can't hit air, he has no special mechanics, he's just a walking HP bar with moderate damage. The evolution gives him a shield that reduces 60% damage when moving or deploying, but the shield disappears when enemies get within 1.2 tiles. So basically, the shield is useless against the exact things you'd use Knight to counter, melee troops that get close. You're spending evolution cycles on a mechanic that barely helps. And here's the biggest problem. Heroic Knight exists and does everything Knight does, but better. Heroic Knight costs the same 3 elixir, has the exact same stats, but he has an ability that Knight doesn't get. Why would you run regular Knight when Heroic Knight is literally the same card with extra utility? That's like choosing the free trial when the full version costs the same. Heroic Knight has higher hit points, glowing yellow eyes, and actual drip with that golden chest plate and cape. Regular Knight is just some basic dude with a mustache. 0 aura. If you're running Knight in 2026 when Heroic Knight exists at the same cost, you're trolling. If you don't have Heroic Knight unlocked yet, just use Valkyrie for 4 elixir. She has splash damage and does Knight's job better. Or use Ice Golem for a 2 elixir and save elixir while kiting. Knight doesn't have a niche anymore when his literal upgraded version exists at the same price. This card is giving outdated energy. Fell off when heroes dropped. Just use Heroic Knight instead, no cap. Rune Giant. This card costs 4 elixir, and people think it's good, but it's actually the biggest scam in the game. Rune Giant is a single target building targeting melee ground troop with high HP but low damage. He's slow as hell. He throws enhancement to max 2 allies that increases their damage every 3rd attack. Sounds good on paper, but in reality it's absolute garbage tier. Stats show 41% win rate with minimal usage. That's literally the lowest among epic cards. And those numbers don't lie, this card is genuinely terrible. At 4 elixir, you'd think he's cheap enough to support properly. But here's the problem, he does low damage himself and he's slow. You need to stack damage dealers behind him to even make the enhancement worth it, but by the time you invest 10 plus elixir into a push, your opponent just drops a medium spell and destroys everything. The enhancement only hits 2 allies max and only buffs damage every 3rd attack. That's so slow it's useless in fast metas. 4 elixir for a slow tank with low damage that needs massive support to even function? That's terrible. His enhancement gimmick requires you to build entire pushes around him, and in 2026's fast cycle meta, there's no time for that. You drop him, your opponent rushes the other lane, and you can't defend because you just wasted 4 elixir on a slow tank that does nothing. This card is straight up not it. 0 aura, 0 value, 0 wins. Bro is unemployed. Alright, those were the trash cards you need to delete immediately. Now let's talk about what you should actually be playing if you want to be him.